Hello there, welcome back to another First Impressions video. Today we are covering the upcoming MMO Riders of Icarus. I've been looking forward to this game for quite some time and finally got my hands on it in its third closed beta. From what I hear, the closed betas weren't much different and the game will be going into open beta early next month and later this month for those who purchased a Founders Pack. Now I doubt much will change from this beta to release as far as core gameplay mechanics go, therefore this First Impressions review will most likely still apply to the release of the game. And I doubt my feelings will change. Now you may be wondering, what kind of game is Icarus? Well, it's a theme park MMORPG, instance-based regions, dungeons, typical classes, tanks, healers, and DPS, raids, PvP, just your usual theme park MMO. What makes Icarus stand out are the mounts. Like some MMOs, it has a wide variety of mounts from lava tiger beasts to crystal dragons, but what makes Icarus a bit more special is the mounted combat and taming system. In Icarus, hundreds of mobs can be turned into a mount. And to capture these mounts you must jump on their back and play a mini game of tapping certain keys as seen on the screen. And I really like this taming system. Bless Online tried something similar, but it required you to weaken the mob and use a scroll to capture, whereas in Icarus you have to actually play a mini game to gain the mount. After acquiring your mount, you also have a choice of turning it into a battle pet that can fight alongside you or an attachment to power up your gear. Mounted combat is also a very huge thing in Icarus, from full raids with each player on their mounts taking down some huge titan, to soaring the skies in search of other mounts to capture, jumping from yours to another in pursuit of a better or more rare dragon. And if you really like collecting things, showing off cool loot, and PvE, you'll love this system in Icarus. You can gain a new skill set and use of new weapons while on a mount and quests like that instead, killing enemies for the quest, turning in quests to NPCs, pretty much doing anything all while staying mounted. Now, I want to talk more about the mount system in combat, but first let's talk about the customization of the game. Now, the character customization in this game is okay, it's decent. It reminds me of Blade and Soul with about half the sliders. You have a few presets to choose from, and from there you can mess with sliders, and the character creation is average, but it's nothing to be amazed about. The costume and armor customization though is a bit more interesting, and I do like it when a game displays your weapon progression. After enchanting your weapons, you will see a glow, and depending on the level of enchantment, I believe the glow will be brighter or different colored. And I've seen guys with different glows, but it could just be weapon skins. The costumes are pretty decent, and it looks like there will be a wide variety to choose from. As you quest, you are gifted a costume and weapon skin, and the weapon skin looks very badass. Even without the skin, I've noticed that through the several dagger sets that I went through, each one was unique. I also noticed that the skins and costumes expire. Now I know a lot of Korean MMOs do this, but I'm sure the actual costumes bought from the cash shop won't expire. That would be a bit weird for a Western game. And at first I was hoping that costumes wouldn't have stats, and we all know how bad that can be, especially if the only way to obtain them is through the cash shop. After checking the gifted costume that I got, it gives you Familiar, also known as Mount, experience gain. So this is nothing to cry about. But when I got my weapon skin, it gave a bonus 100 attack, which is definitely going to be a problem if cash shop items change stats dramatically like this. I hope this is just a quest thing, but if it becomes a pay cash for stat bonuses, this game will easily be labeled pay to win from day one. So overall, I found the character customization average, and the costumes look okay. Weapons are my favorite thing as far as looks go in the game, and with or without weapon skins, it looks as if they put a lot of detail into it. I've yet to see a really badass looking costume, but if they're anything like what the NPCs wear, then we can expect to see some awesome clothing as well. Let's discuss the leveling and questing in Icarus. It has your very generic questing. Go pick up 3 mushrooms and return them to the NPC, go slay 5 rabbits, go tame a horse, you know, the usual theme park questing experience. Leveling is extremely slow. Very standard MMO leveling. After 3 to 4 hours of gameplay, you'll be around maybe level 10, if that. You have a main story questline and a bunch of side quests you can take following the areas of your main questline. Since all the quests are in the same area, you might as well take them, right? But these side quests give shit for experience and make you question if they are even worth taking. If you have been spoiled by other MMOs where leveling is extremely fast, this will probably be a bad experience for you if you lack patience. But if you can go into Icarus with an open mind, knowing that you will have to work very hard and long to get to the end game, you might just last. Icarus does push party play, and I like that. Questing with the group will make this 1,000 times easier. Mobs give crap experience, so your main XP comes from questing. If you have to kill 10 mobs for a quest, doing it with friends gets it done much faster. Even if it's to loot a certain item from a mob, everyone in the party gets it. You also get experience bonus depending on how many players you have in the party, which is pretty awesome. The questing feels slow due to slow movement speed and quests that give you little to nothing XP, but even the ground mounts early on aren't much faster. Once you unlock a flying mount, it will feel as though the questing picks up a bit as you don't have to follow the trails and you can just fly over mountains to your next destination. I did like the dungeons, they were very well designed. You can run them on different difficulties for better loot drop, and it seems as if they add more mobs. I've noticed a huge difference from running a dungeon for the first time and then switching to the third or fourth hard mode. I actually got my ass handed to me a few times and it took a bit more attention instead of just playing the game on autopilot. As you level in quests, you are rewarded with new gear, weapons, armors, and accessories. You are also taught and given enchantment items to increase your gear's damage or defense. The RNG feels worse than Terra. The description on these enchantment stones says that they allow you to enchant gear up to plus 20. In-game might allow you to go beyond that, but for now it says plus 20. So trying to enchant to plus 1, even with a very high success chance, I have failed multiple times in a row. Going to plus 1 out of 20. The stat difference is pretty huge though, so maybe that's why the RNG is so hard. I can only imagine enchanting in-game gear, and this is going to be hell for players. You can disenchant or disassemble gear to get back the enchantment stones, but you will usually end up with a higher tier enchantment stone and less stones that you put into enchanting that piece of gear you just disassembled. There is also a party finder, but I found that no one was using it. One thing that annoyed me were quests that told you to kill a certain mob, like a mini boss, with there only being one of that mob and 30 players swarmed around it, all trying to get the kill. This is one of the most AIDS fest things that MMO can do. Partying up with players can make this easier, but no, it gets worse. If a player decides to be a dick and try to tame that monster while you guys are trying to kill it, it gives them priority, and I've dealt with this multiple times throughout my playthrough. Almost getting the kill on a mini boss and some douche runs over and hops on its back and either fails to catch it resetting the boss or captures it leaving me to wait for the respawn and contest it yet again. Let's talk about the graphics and optimization. As you know, optimization is a game breaker. You can have the best game ever, best questing, best costumes, best combat, but when the frames go from 120 to 20 to 65 to 20, that's a problem. And when there is major desync and terrain nearly breaks your character, it's a problem. After downloading this game on my Windows 7 PC, when running the installer, I was given the option to check one of two boxes. One box will install or run the game a certain way to make it better optimized. The thing is, only one checkbox can be clicked with the other one grayed out. So I went through with this, and after starting the game I noticed some frame drops while selecting my class, even more when creating my character. In the introduction of the game, the frame drops were horrible. I thought, maybe this is just the intro, things will get better. And after the introduction I reached the starting zone. There were so many new players, but the lag wasn't even that bad. The frame drop stopped. So after about an hour into generic questing, my game started shitting itself, taking a minute to move 1 meter. The game started affecting my PC as a whole. I couldn't even type a word into Discord without it taking 30 seconds to complete. Icarus shot my CPU usage up to 100%, so I tried reinstalling the game, killing certain tasks, restarting my PC, reinstalling certain files, and still no fix. This game was probably going to be the death of my CPU, so you can see here how it affected my computer and other programs. What is going on?
But then also something I've noticed so far too is that
with above average specs, you wonder how a game on Cryy engine and as old as Icarus is hard to run. Maybe it's just an AMD thing. So after searching the forums, I found out I wasn't alone and that Intel users with better specs had the same problem. After talking to friends and wondering how they ran the game so smooth, I found out they were all on Windows 10. So as much as I didn't want to go back to 10, I upgraded just to play this game. And after upgrading, I found that using Windows 10 and killing the useless Nexon security in the task manager allows me to run this game smoothly. So I get around 40 to 60 FPS, sometimes frame drops, but that's just expected. Through this experience trying to fix Icarus for several hours, I was about ready to give up. So if you guys are experiencing similar problems, it's probably not your specs. You just need to be on Windows 10 or you were just unlucky. It seems that this problem is very selective on its victims. But still, to release a game while it has problems like this is absurd. Now the graphics are decent, it reminds me of ArcAge. They aren't anything outstanding, but the motion blur and details to objects is pretty sexy. I don't expect this game to be Black Desert, and for what it is, I like the graphics. Lowering them will of course give you better performance, and even then they are okay. Since the regions are instance and some are very small and narrow, making you feel confined to small zones, it doesn't give you that immersive feel of endless exploration. However, once you're on a flying mount and take to the skies, it gives you that feeling of open world exploration. There are invisible walls, but you have to fly very far out to reach them, almost as if you are testing them on purpose. Some zones don't allow you to fly, but the zones that do have a height limit, and it changes from zone to zone. I was very surprised to see how high they allow you to go, and I was very impressed. The designs of the costumes, dungeons, mobs, and dragons are very cool. And I said this before and I'm saying it again, I love when a game has a variety of different environments. Icarus definitely pleases me with that. From misty forests to lava caves to icy mountains, Icarus covers it all. Icarus gives you the option of using standard combat or action combat, and after choosing your class it will recommend you which mode you should play with. This game is a tab targeting MMO. Though you may be using action combat, all this really allows is for you to freely use left and right click when in the hitbox of a monster and turn your camera a bit easier. Nothing more. Mounted combat will have select skills that are free aim though. Speaking of mounted combat, it's a whole different ball game. You gain a new skill set and new weapons, being a crossbow and eventually a staff or spear. Later down the line maybe you unlock more, but I didn't get there. You will get destroyed while mounted much quicker than in regular combat, unless you are constantly strafing. The damage from my attacks while mounted and how long it took to take down enemies made me want to just return to regular combat. I like the fact you can do almost anything while mounted: shop, turn in quest, use items, fight, but sometimes having your big ass dragon in your face makes it a bit hard to see. If they allowed you to use a weapon related to your class, this could have been a much cooler feature. You know, assassins throwing daggers, mages shooting lightning, but instead all classes are using the same weapons while mounted. Regular combat is cool but feels slow. I have attacks that have different effects if used after dashing, but after dashing my character is too far to use the next combo skill, so after clicking the combo skill it takes my character a few seconds to run back to the target and use that skill. The global cooldown on some skills is a bit horrid, and the overall damage and impact just doesn't feel very good. The combat is slightly above average, but if I had to compare it to another tab targeting MMO, I would say it's better than World of Warcraft but worse than Arcage. The mounts and mounted combat seem to be the big seller of this game, but I did not find it that appealing. Since I'm on the topic of the cash shop items, let's get more into detail. In closed beta they give you these items that seem to be something you can purchase from the cash shop after release. They have a few different uses, one of them being able to instantly resurrect after death. You will die in this game, whether it be from multiple mobs ganging up on you while you quest and dying due to a lack of AoEs, or running a dungeon on heroic and getting smashed by the boss. Using these items at the right time will keep dungeon bosses from resetting because you'll be back up before the whole party wipes. Questing will be easier, you won't have to worry about traveling back to where you were, and in open world PvP if you can use this, it will allow you to get right back up and finish your opponent where you left off, and that will be somewhat broken. This item feels like a necessity. Either have it or put twice the amount of effort into playing Icarus. Now we discussed costumes and weapon skins earlier, and the free ones I got from questing had stats on them. They also had expiration dates. Since these were given early on, maybe it's just a gift you will receive early in the game to give you a feel for cosmetics with stats, and after they expire, it makes you feel like you need to purchase them to maintain those stat bonuses. If this is something that Nexon has available only in the cash shop, this will be extremely pay to win, like the exact definition. And not pay to get ahead, but pay to fucking win. Let's hope that this is not the case though, and let's pray that the enchantment stones won't be available on the cash shop either. I feel as though this game may have a really good end game, awesome raids, bosses, and maybe there are some unique mounts out there that will be extremely hard to tame and only a few players on the server own them. In-game dungeons probably take a ton of organization and time, but to get to the end game will take you a very long time as the leveling is very slow. If leveling is slow in a game, that's okay, but you need to feel some sense of progression, and I don't feel that with Icarus. I find myself wanting to pull my fingernails off while fighting the same mob for the third or fourth time, except this time I have to collect its ears and not its feet. Even if the end game is amazing, if I have to go through all this boring early game, I don't think I can make it. I thought maybe Icarus would be something I love playing, and the trailers make it look so good. Playing it though was a whole different game. Maybe mounts gain fire breathing techniques, or maybe you will always be locked to using a crossbow and spear. I've also dealt with the crazy amount of bugs, not being able to turn in quest or target NPCs for several minutes, getting disconnected and other small bugs here and there. This is a closed beta first impression, so these can be fixed. But let's talk pros and cons of Icarus. Here's the pros. It has an interesting mount taming and combat system, very detailed and beautiful environments, and it has a wide variety of different regions. I like that. It has unique weapon and costume design. As far as introductions go, I really like Icarus's introduction. It puts you right into the combat and story, and got you used to the controls and mount flying right away. Now on to the cons. It has a very generic questing system. It has horrible leveling and progression. Some of the worst optimization I have ever seen. Cosmetic items with stats, if they are cash shop only, it's going to be very pay to win. The character customization was very average. Mounted combat and regular combat are really nothing special. and the game had quite a few bugs. With all the trouble I had to go through just to play this game, I would give it a 5 out of 10, but because I was actually able to get into the game and experience it with smoother frames and, you know, aside from having to upgrade to Windows 10, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10 for an early game review. Remember that this review is just based on my first impressions and early game. So I hope you guys enjoyed my first impressions of Icarus. If you played the game, let me know how you feel in the comment section below. If you have yet to play it, are you going to try it? I still suggest that you give it a try, because the best way to know if it's good or not is to try it yourself. So thank you guys for watching, and as always, I will catch you guys in the next video. See you later, friends.